She like the way that I fiddle. I like how she pull on my string. I move my finger a little. That G note make her sing. I beat it up like staccato. Smooth strokes, legato. She like it when I use vibrato. She like it when I use vibrato. She like the way that I fiddle. I like how she pull on my string. I move my finger a little. That G note make her sing. I beat it up like staccato. Smooth strokes, legato. She like it when I use vibrato. She like it when I use vibrato. She like the way that I feel. She like the way that I feel. She like the way that I feel. She like the way that I fiddle. I like how she pull on my string. I move my finger a little. That G note make her sing. I beat it up like staccato. Smooth strokes, legato. She like it when I use vibrato. She like it when I use vibrato. She like the way that I fiddle. I like how she pull on my string. I move my finger a little. That G note make her sing. I beat it up like staccato. Smooth strokes, legato. She like it when I use vibrato. She like it when I use vibrato.
Hello, my ghosties, my ghoulies, and my moth people. Welcome to the second ever Noctivagant live stream, where we are going to discuss, dissect, and review the last year of Noctivagant. And stay tuned for the end when we ritually sacrifice Rory atop a bonfire to atone for our sins.
I would really, really prefer if you didn't do that.
Yeah, you were outvoted.
By who?
Me exclusively.
Oh.
I have 4 limbs. And I'm taller than Jay, so I can override their vote.
You're taller than everybody. You're almost taller than both of us combined.
Yes,
I'll miss you, baby.
As is right. Power for the tallest.
Yeah, okay.
It says nature intended.
Okay, yeah.
That's why we put everything on the high shelves.
No, we're not doing this right now.
Hello, everyone. Is this what it's going to be? You're going to be beating me for this entire day?
I can stop now.
So, hello everyone out there. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time this evening. We have been looking forward to this. We hope you have as well. It has been a wild year for Noctivagant,
say the absolute and utter least.
And I said this last year, and it's still true. We are just getting started. We have a lot of big plans and exciting things planned for the next year of Noctivagant that we can't wait to share with you. Later on, we're going to be doing some giveaways, which I can tease a little bit right now.
Ooh.
So, one of the first things we're going to be giving away today is a set of 3 books. These 3 books are not books that you've heard about on the show because they're books we're going to be talking about. Consider this the book club package, the chance to read ahead a little bit and send us some of your questions, some ideas, some thoughts you have, and maybe we'll talk about it on the show. We probably will. We're starved for content. So, I had a complete brain fart. What are we doing now? Where am I?
Well, according to the itinerary...
Oh, right.
Let's see.
That thing you made and printed for us so this wouldn't happen.
Was this 1B?
I don't know. I didn't read it.
Well, then I guess we're here. I guess we're here to talk about the past year. That's about what I expected.
Yeah, I mean, really. So, we, like I said, we do have a lot of exciting stuff coming up on tonight's show. We have some fun giveaways. We are going to be talking about Noctivagant 2.0, which is kind of a slight reformatting of the show, as well as some other exciting things for the next year, some things that some people have been asking us about for 2 years now. But we've been, lazy. And overwhelmed.
Yeah, lazy, overwhelmed, busy.
Constantly reading.
Constantly reading.
Injuring my back due to bending over, staring at books, my eyesight going, my hair falling out.
I've literally, excuse me, in my lifetime, I don't think I've read as many books as I've read in the past. As many books as I've read in the past. As many books as I've read in the past. As many books as I've read in the past. As many books as I've read in the past.
I know. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. I know. For those who don't know the story. Apparently, we have a bad echo going on. I've been informed.
Yeah, I half expected that, unfortunately.
Yeah, we are still working out our new studio space, so we are no longer in the basement. We will attempt not to echo. I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to try.
I'm trying. I will try to mute the board because it's very likely coming from my microphone.
All right. So going into the past year of Noctivagant, I mean, this has been a great year for us. We've had some outstanding growth, both in terms of our understanding of the phenomenon, if you can even understand something like that, as well as, I mean, the number of people who are tuning in, the number of people who are reaching out, talking to us, engaging with us, and we love it. We are gluttons for attention. But also, in addition, we do like hearing from you guys. We got a couple of lovely fan emails just this last week. And it's been a lot of fun conversing with you guys. So if you are someone who has just been lurking and has had ideas and thoughts and book suggestions and you haven't reached out yet because you think we don't have time for you, I assure you our time is not that valuable. So feel free to reach out to us immediately. Now, moving into our signposts, that's going to be just like last year, the big thing we're going to be doing this year, where we're going to review the last year of books, which I know you can only see one of the stacks, but I assure you I am hidden behind a wall of them. And we're going to discuss kind of what our takeaways were, how much of an impact they made on us now that we've had some time to process them and, think about them and let the nightmares fade away. And decide which ones are worthy of including in our signposts. If you don't remember what those are, the Noctivagant signposts are the list of books that are kind of like our reading list. It's what we recommend people to go out and read if they're really trying to launch into this topic. Granted, the topic is a bit hard to define because it's just the phenomenon. But, I mean, if you're listening, you already knew that.
Yeah, and that's why... Oh, sorry, I'm probably really quiet. That's why... when we say follow the signposts along the midnight roads, it's like a whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. People need to wander off and get lost more often. They'll find more fun stuff.
No, they do not. Do not get lost on the midnight roads. You will not come back, and Nick will be held legally responsible in the court of the wild.
That's one of the few courts that can hold me.
Yes, that's where Squatch lives.
Ever since you got those bare hands, you are under their jurisdiction.
Okay, so moving right into it, our first book is actually not from the last year, but it's one that we realized, and for really no reason at all. We had just missed it last year. We accidentally didn't include it. And that is Alex Matsuo's One Bed Over. If you don't remember, this was a terrifying story of her encounter after a car accident with some sort of poltergeist, ghost, who knows, entity that... What are you doing?
It's so I can take notes and remember which books we made a signpost.
Oh, that's probably good that someone's writing it down, because God knows I wasn't going to.
Yeah, I'm the one that's going to have to update it on the Discord anyway.
Okay, so One Bed Over. What do we guys think?
One Bed Over is, in my opinion, a really interesting... It's a really interesting book because the entity is so hard to define, and it seems to have features of both a ghost and a poltergeist, and we had kind of a really intricate discussion centering around that in particular, and it's a really good example of the way that trauma, both emotional and physical, seems to kind of open people up to the paranormal and the metaphysical in a way few other experiences really do. So I would argue that, yeah, it probably does belong as a signpost, just because also in the past year since I've read that book, it's one that I kind of return to over and over again in terms of discussing the difference between a ghost and a poltergeist. And again, the entity in there seemed to be weirdly exhibiting both, and it was clearly very deeply linked to Alex's emotions, regardless of what taxonomy it actually falls under. So, yeah, and people who listened to the live stream last year will remember this about me. I tend to be biased towards authors whose books I summarized if it's just like, they all belong as signposts because they're my special darlings.
See, I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I know for a fact you hated some of the books you did.
Yes, I did.
It's true. You were in a rare form for some of these books.
Yeah. Oh, well, the book is fine. It's just now on the floor now because I dropped it. So, I mean, I think One Bed Over, I think that it's worthy of inclusion just because, like you were saying, Jay, it's one of those books that does a great job of representing the ambiguity when it comes to this stuff. A lot of paranormal media, especially in the TV world, likes to put things in boxes. This is a poltergeist, this is a demon, this is a ghost. And those boxes are imaginary. They're something we made up to make ourselves feel better. And I like stories that embrace that fact. Like we've talked about before, I mean, ambiguity is part of it. The mystery is part of it. And I think that book did a great job of showing that. I also just think it's. Here's the thing. I had a personal. I also react. 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 I also react. I also react. After that. And so I definitely felt an emotional connection to the text, which of course impacts how I view it. But in general, I'd say even beyond that, I think it's worthy of it just because, quite frankly, of the books we've covered and the topics we've covered, we haven't gotten to that many good ghost stories, it doesn't feel like. Because a lot of the ghost stories we get about halfway through and we're just like, I hate the protagonist, this sounds fake, this is bullcrap.
Yeah, a lot of them are, you're right, a lot of them that we read seem to lean on the side of this is not believable.
Yeah.
Or if they are, it's like Demon of Brownsville Road, which ultimately was a great story, but
Well, Bob, have you considered that you're a terrible father?
I've want to do more ghost stories. The problem is I read like samples of some of the books that I want to do, and they just feels like such a retread of ground we're already deeply familiar with. And part of the point of picking new books is attempting to expand our understanding of the phenomenon. And the truth is, a lot of haunted house memoirs are written by people who have no prior experience with the paranormal and have no sort of academic or scientific understanding of what they're looking at. And that's not their fault, and there's nothing intrinsically wrong with that. It's just, for our purposes, it severely limits the types of books that I feel comfortable bringing into the show, because, again, I don't want to retread the same ground over and over again if it's not going to take us anywhere new.
Yeah, I get that. Though I do think we're going to have to get to oh, apparently we were looping like demons for some people.
Yeah, the tech goblins are real.
Yeah,
today.
no, you might have heard us joke about this, but it's not a joke.
No.
The longer this show goes on, the more concerned I get that there is an actual gremlin running around, because some of the tech issues we've had are just weird, and they only crop up when we are just about to record.
Yeah, a good example. Literally right before this live stream.
Yeah.
I bear in mind, I spent an hour in here yesterday testing the stream and testing my computer, because I just refreshed or restarted my computer, wiped the whole thing because it was having so many issues. And now, on yesterday, I spent the whole time, I spent like an hour in here yesterday testing the stream, like walking around the room and everything. And then today, I get home from work, I sit down, I start testing everything, and my computer won't connect to the internet.
Yep.
I am literally 10 feet from the router. I can see it right now, and there is no reason why I shouldn't be connecting. And thankfully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, everything seems to be going okay now. But of course, I had the gremlins, goblins, ghoulies, whatever. They had to give me a panic attack today, right before we go on the live stream, because they wanted to make sure that I don't know.
Like I've been saying, we just need to get a bowl of like myrrh and oil and some sage, and we just need to burn it inside your computer. Smoke is good for circuits, right?
No.
Oh.
No.
Well, now I know why I was kicked out of MIT. I didn't attend. I just broke in. Okay, so moving into our next book.
I mean, what? I don't even get a vote?
No.
Moving into the next book.
Did we want to get the giveaway set up before we move into the rest of the books? Because we mentioned there's a giveaway, but I feel like we didn't. Did we mention how to enter?
Yeah, I got excited and I plowed on ahead. So, speaking of which, there is going to be a giveaway. Why don't we, real quick, before we get into the books we actually covered in the last year, now that we've caught up.
I mean, we could do this in stages, right? Because people will probably join sporadically throughout. So, as we go, if you want to be a part of the giveaway, you will have to, just drop your name in the chat?
Yeah, drop your name, or it could be your username, whatever you want to use. Just let us know somehow in the chat, or you can you could private message us on Twitter if you really wanted to, or shoot us an email. Let us know you want to be in on the drawing, and you'll be in. It's going to be just like last year. The first person we draw gets to pick between the three prizes, which, again, the prize I'll be giving away is the next three books we'll be covering on our show.
I've got this fancy EMF meter. It is...
Oh, no, you're right. I was messed up. I thought it was off frame, but no, we're just seconds behind. And so...
Yeah, I told you there's a delay.
Yeah,
it's orange. Look at it. Look how orange it is.
What did you call that one? Like the package? Nick?
What did I say?
The book club package.
No, that was the book club package.
Oh, yes. No, this is the Spectre sensor.
Yes, the Spectre.
And over there, Rory is going to be giving away the Nuremberg Special.
The Nuremberg Special. Why is it called that? Well, we have, for starters, there's the camera. We have a Thoth tarot deck.
Aleister Crowley's Thoth tarot deck.
Aleister Crowley's tarot deck. And a copy of Diary of a Drug Fiend and more works by Aleister Crowley.
And a
Look
fancy copy at that. So
Yeah.
fancy, I wanted to steal it.
I know, me too.
fancy book.
So again, if you want to be in on that drawing that's going to be happening at the end of the live stream, please let us know one way or another. Send a smoke signal. Send a demon to burst into the room and scream at us. Whatever you need to do.
Comment in the Discord. Or send us a message. You can also, whatchamacallit? Yeah, just comment in the stream is probably the most, successful way.
Send a singing telegram that we can brutally shoot on the front porch.
Okay.
Speed of Human wants in.
Yep, and Speed of Human is in. I got the magic bowl right here, a.k.a. Tupperware bowl.
Oh. Hey, you know what? It's better than nothing.
Okay, so you're going to get tired of hearing us repeat this because we're gonna. So let's get moving.
Yay!
Well, before we get moving, I'm just going to give my vote, even though it doesn't matter. And I agree. I think one bed over should be a signpost. If for no other reason, then I think Alex is pretty dope.
Alex is dope.
You know what? Sure, we can. I'll allow us to give books dope points because of the author.
Yeah.
I will allow it. It's completely academically dishonest, but this isn't. We're not we are some of us are academics, but
Just keep fumbling, man. Move on.
that's all I do on this show. Okay, so the first book we covered this year was Where the Footprints End by Joshua Cutchin and Timothy Renner. So this was our first Bigfoot book we did, and we immediately chose one of the weirdest ones.
Yeah, that tracks.
We still haven't done volume 2, and I still intend to.
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah, so maybe that'll be something that's coming up this year. I do also, Joshua Cutchin has a another two-part book series on death and kind of how death is an undercurrent throughout all of the paranormal, and I really want to read it because that is one of my favorite crackpot theories, that it's all related to death.
So that made me think of something that I thought of a few minutes ago. Jay, when you were talking about wanting to do more ghost books, but not really treading any new water, Adam Berry has a new book coming out next month, I believe, that I have pre-ordered that we should do on the show, and it's his experiences as a ghost investigator and how it has changed his thoughts about death in general. So I think
I like that very much.
Might be a really good one to do on the show for multiple reasons. One, I think Adam Berry is dope, and well, it sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Even though I'm sure some people may be surprised by this, I don't know. I'm not a giant fan of paranormal television. I struggle mostly with production quality and then the fact that I think 90% of it is fake. That being said, I really like Kindred Spirits, so...
I don't know why you think that'd be a surprise. We bitch about paranormal TV all the time.
Fair point.
If you ever want to watch some truly terrible paranormal TV, I can recommend A Haunting, which is on HBO Max, and also My Haunted House. I don't know where they put that show to gather dust in the streaming age, but it's somewhere. Hell, it's probably sitting on someone's YouTube channel for free. It's like, imagine if A Haunting is store brand paranormal television. Just low quality sets, the actors are terrible, the storylines rarely make sense, and then below that, what someone is selling out of the back of the truck in a store parking lot is My Haunted House.
It's parking lot meth.
It is. It's like, are these used paper towels you're selling me? Do you want the bounty or not? And, when you're me at age 20 and you're lonely and you're trying to hide from your parents that you're not really an atheist anymore, you do want the bounty.
Okay, back on Bigfoot. Where the footprints end. What are we thinking?
Well, this is, as much as Joshua Cutchin didn't want this, it is in a lot of ways the passport of Magonia for Bigfoot rather than aliens. That's the whole through line of the book, it feels like. And here's the thing. I vibe with that. I'm wearing a museum shirt that is, Ghost Bigfoot, So I say we bring it in.
Yeah, okay.
I do too, if just for, with a few rare exceptions, I feel like the first book we do on a specific subset of the phenomenon tends to end up as a signpost, because usually, whether we want it to or not, that begins to shape the way we approach every other book about that subset of the phenomenon. It is inevitable that where the footprints end is going to inform how we approach every Bigfoot book we read from here on out. And so I kind of feel like that makes it a signpost by default.
Yeah, I mean, the way that he approached the Bigfoot phenomenon was very much in line, to be biased, but it was very much in line with how we already thought about the phenomenon. But it brought in a new element of the phenomenon to that same way of thinking, which is, like, to me, that's like fucking nail on the head. That's the best shit,
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, I got to say about Where the Footprints End, I think that we also were more receptive to it because, like you were saying, Jay, we are very much shaped by the books that we've been working with. And I don't think there's a single book that has had a bigger impact on our conversations than the Mothman Prophecies.
Oh,
John Keel in
doubt,
general,
yeah.
the whole Fordian approach to looking at this stuff, and this is very much in line with that. And so I think, of course, we were receptive to it. It was already talking about things we liked.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see what the dog wants. She might have to go out.
Okay, yep, she's crying outside the door.
We will plow on ahead without you.
Don't you dare. The next book is Repressed Memory.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, okay. Well, so yeah, no, it has my vote. Where the Footprints End definitely has my vote.
So we'll put that one in.
I think it's in.
Oh, it's definitely in it. I don't remember the rules from last year because we definitely didn't write them down. Or at least keep them anywhere where we could where we could find them again. Buffy, what are you doing?
Sorry, we have a wild dog now roaming the studio. I think she just wanted to be in here.
Yeah, she just wants to hang out.
Sorry about this, everyone.
Yeah, anyway.
Delay by animal.
Unrelated, but Justin in the comments here thinks that banshees clearly command the legions of big feet. And I mean, that theory is as good as any other one that I've heard, but the plural for Bigfoot is Bigfoot.
It's like goose.
Yeah.
Not goose has geese.
Yeah, it's big. It's like moose.
Moose. Yeah, or share.
Yes.
Yeah, no, God, I had a thought, but it is gone now. I am a space cadet today. Oh, show the dog.
Buffy, come here.
Kink Shame the Gang wants us to show the dog.
Buffy, come here.
And of course, now she's not cooperating.
Come here, Buffy. Don't take my plate. What are you doing?
Buffy, come here.
Here, I'm gonna move. I'll just move my camera.
Things are about to get nausea-inducing if you're watching Rory's camera because it's moving a lot. Yep, looking at the feed. I'm getting sick. There's the dog. There's the giant blockhead. She is very, very sweet and needy. Someday you may get to see my dog as well. He is an Australian Shepherd, and you will only see a blur because he doesn't ever sit still.
Yes, Buffy is perfect. She's the best girl.
Okay, so moving into our next book, which Jay demanded we not proceed without them, or forbid me from proceeding without them. God, I can speak. I got degrees in words.
You do. You have multiple degrees in words, in fact.
That has nothing to do with words coming out of your mouth. It was words coming out of your hands.
No, I've addressed that in the show. That is absolutely true. I am so much smarter when I'm writing compared to when I'm speaking.
Hey, I'm going to say something that's going to really irritate you. You know what that's a symptom of?
What?
ADHD. Ow!
No squeaky.
All right, so the next book is The Myth of Repressed Memories, False Memories and Allegations of Sexual Abuse by Dr. Elizabeth Loftus and Catherine Ketchum. This was the hardest book we've done, and it wasn't because of, difficulty reading.
It's the only book in the entire show that I refused to finish, and by refused, I mean I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think it was the last third of it. About the last third of it you couldn't get through?
Yep.
Well, it was just the thing is it got to a certain point where it's like all the points that needed to be made in this book have been made, and I am getting now repeatedly punched in the heart for what feels like no reason.
That's a feature of academic papers, particularly in psychology. I've noticed that psychologists, because of their, there was so long where other branches of science wouldn't even acknowledge psychology as a valid field, that a lot of psychologists hold themselves to an even higher standard of proof, and so papers will retread the same ground over and over again.
Yeah.
Buffy is right now trying to lay down in my book bag.
Oh, she's got her bed over here. What the heck? Whatever.
All right. So, what did we think? Does this book merit a spot on the signposts?
I don't think so. I think the book... Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know, the reason why we even did this book was in direct response to something that a guest said on the Midnight Chats. The guest on a Midnight Chat claimed that... repressed memories weren't a thing, that
hypnosis could not create memories.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's what it was. Hypnosis could not create memories, and all of us were pretty sure that wasn't true. Mm-hmm. Due to the prior to that, I would say prior to that we had read the Satanic Panic book and other things that had talked about this. So we were pretty confident that wasn't a thing. Or that this was a thing that you could do. So in response to that, because we wanted to make sure that we had an actual basis for what we were saying, Jay, found this book and we read it. And so it was. I don't regret the 2/3 of the book that I did read because I've actually brought it up a lot. But that being said, I don't think it actually helped push the my knowledge of the phenomenon in any way. I do, and honestly, I wouldn't put this on anybody else. I wouldn't tell anybody else to read this.
It is a really, really brutal read, and I agree with you. I have mixed feelings about making this a signpost because I think particularly if your personal research into the phenomenon hinges a lot on stories of contactees who regained these memories later, I think this is a very important book to read in terms of that. It puts a lot of things into context, and as I never want to stop stressing that it is important to maintain a degree of skepticism when approaching these things, particularly when people are in a position to make a potentially quite a bit of money off of certain stories they're telling. And again, we're in the middle of kind of another satanic panic right now in terms of anti-pedophile hysteria. So if it's not happening already, it's going to start happening again very soon. There's going to be hysterical Christian moms, 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 hysterical Christian moms,
Paranormal.
Alright. Can you hear us now? Alright. Can you hear us now?
Can anyone hear us?
Can you hear us now? Are we back?
Can anyone hear
us?
Major
Can you hear
Tom?
us now? Are we back?
Can anyone hear Major
Can you hear
Tom?
us now? Are we back?
Can anyone hear
Can
Major
you hear
Tom?
us now? Are we back?
Can anyone hear
Can
Major
you hear
Tom?
us now? Are we back?
Can anyone hear
Can
Major
you hear
Tom?
us now? Are we back?
Can anyone hear
Can
Major
you hear
Tom?
us now? Are we back?
Can anyone hear
Can
Major
you hear
Tom?
us now? Are we back?
Can anyone hear
Can
anyone
you
hear
hear
Major
us
Tom?
now? Are we back?
Can anyone hear
Can
anyone
you
hear
hear
Major
us
Tom?
now? Yeah, not much I can do
Can
about
anyone
it.
hear
Can
anyone
you
hear
hear
Major
us
Tom?
now? Yeah, not much I can do
Can
about
anyone
it.
hear
Can
anyone
you
hear
hear
Major
us
Tom?
now? Yeah, not much I can do
Hear
about
anyone
it.
hear
Can you
Major
hear
Tom?
us now? Not much I can do
Hear
about
anyone
it.
hear
Can you
Major
hear us
Tom?
now?
Major
Yeah,
Tom?
not
Hear
much I
anyone
can
hear
do about
Major
it.
Tom? Major Tom? Hear anyone hear Major Tom? Major Tom? Hear anyone hear Major Tom? Major Tom? Major Tom? Hear anyone hear Major Tom? Major Tom? Major Tom? Hear anyone hear Major Tom? Major Tom? Major Tom? Hear anyone hear Major Tom? Major Tom? Major Tom? Major Tom?
Try this again. Can you hear us now?
Hello, hello, can you hear us?
Is there anybody alive out there?
Come in, ground control. Oh, I just got a message they can hear us, so at least one person can hear us now. Okay, thank God, we're back. Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. I have no idea at what point the demon looping happened, so let's just speed run this, yay or nay on repressed memories.
Nay.
Nay.
Nay, okay, moving on. Our next book is, well, it's another paranormal book that we covered. Grains of Sand by Brian Cano. This was a book that Rory covered.
Yeah.
So, what are we thinking?
I think it was a good book. I think Brian Cano is an interesting fella. Very nice guy to talk to. Very talkative guy. But ultimately, I don't think that Grains of Sand pushed my overall, like, understanding of the phenomenon. Ultimately, so I did enjoy the book, and if you like just reading about about ghost investigators and their stories about the things that have happened with them and some of the as he said, grains of sand that he's picked up along the way, read the book. But ultimately, I don't personally. I'm gonna say pass.
Yeah, I think I feel about the same way. I think the one thing that I did like about this book, well, I mean, I liked the book fine. It wasn't terrifically memorable to me, but to be fair, I typically don't enjoy the paranormal investigator semi-biographical, that's the word, books. It just doesn't jive with me. It's not my speed. It's not for me. But that said, one thing I really did like about this book is it mirrors something that Tenney has said before, in that, this whole idea that paranormal events, they don't need to be this whole production. They don't need to be this grand event for it to count. Small stuff counts. Small, weird things that happen every day that we look past and ignore count. Coincidences that are just a little too coincidental count. Hearing a single weird sound counts. And so, your paranormal, I think that this was a good reminder of that, not every grain of sand is going to be, I got chased by a full-body apparition. Sometimes it's going to be, I had a weird feeling in this place. And that's enough. That's okay if that's all that ever happens to you in regards to the anomalous. Because I think a lot of people, they feel very, kind of imposter in this community. Like, if I haven't had a ghost sighting, how can I be part of this community? Is like, that stuff is really rare. This actual paranormal occurrences are incredibly rare. I've spent a good chunk of my life putting myself in situations to experience them, and I've only had a handful. And several of those I'm highly dubious of. So, I like that, but overall, I would say I wouldn't put it on the list.
I'm in agreement. I liked the book. I enjoyed it quite a bit. There's several stories in there that are definitely going to linger with me, like the spontaneous Nerf battle in the former elementary school, where most of the people there legitimately feel like they were semi-possessed by children.
That's a good example of resonance, like a location's resonance having influence on you.
Genus loci, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like it ultimately doesn't fully belong as a signpost.
Okay. Moving on, I think I know how we're going to vote on the next two, so we're going to do it rapid fire.
Well, real quick, just want to shout out. We have a signpost author in the chat.
Yep, Jack is here.
Preston King.
Jack!
One of our first major fans. Like, one of the first people who actually reached out to us and talked to us, and that was, it gives Jack a very special place in our hearts.
And now he's got a book on the signpost list. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
We're very fond of Jack.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving into the next two books, they're actually ones that I could not find my copies of for some reason, but I'm pretty sure I know how we're going to vote. The first one, The Portals and UFOs of Mount Shasta by Grant Cameron.
No!
Yeah, I didn't, it just didn't do it for me.
The book itself, I was like, about. Like, I had a lot of, I don't know, maybe my inner skeptic was coming out a lot with that one. But then after the interview with Mr. Cameron, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. And the next one, Diary of an American Exorcist by Stephen J. Rossetti.
No!
Yeah, no, I don't think any of us liked that book.
Hold on, maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
We're about to let our audience see a murder live on air.
Never seen a nerd murder somebody so violently before.
Okay, continuing to move forward because we have to make up some time from the death loop we got caught in. Real Magic by Dean Radin. I think this one, I think I know which way we're going on this one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think this one is...
Without a doubt. That book lives rent-free in my brain. Like, I literally, like, I think about things that that Dean Radin talks about in that book probably every single day.
Yeah, here's the thing, is if you're someone who, wants to see a more scientific approach to this stuff, you can't beat this.
Oh, no.
No, it is, and it is so compelling, and the fact that these very carefully vetted and carefully controlled experiments are showing positive results in regards to things that we would term magic, that's insane. That's so fucking cool.
That book, I liked it so much, it actually inspired me to start building an RNG of my own, just because. And I wanted to start trying the similar experiments, and I did. I built a random number generator this one is in Excel, and I started building a replica version of it inside and building it from the ground up inside actual Visual Studio. But
yeah, no, I've been waiting for you to finish it.
Yeah, well, the original one, the Excel one's done. It's just boring right now.
The blessed tea made them healthier even when they didn't know it was blessed. Mm-hmm. After I read that, I had to go lay down.
Okay, next up we have an old favorite for Noctivagant, Gary Lockman, Dreaming Ahead of Time. So I suspect I may get disagreed with on this. I would put it in there just because this book opened up the temporal angle of thinking about the phenomenon to me. I'd kind of read with UFOs, there might be future humans, or time slips, things like that. But I don't know, like, I liked a lot of the ideas in here, even if I don't necessarily believe them. Like, the stuff with Lethbridge and different materials having different resonant frequencies you can detect with a pendulum. I'm not going to lie, I tried it. I did my own little experiment in my office, and maybe I was doing it wrong or whatever, but it doesn't work for me. But that said, I like the ideas in here enough that it stays with me. I think about this book fairly often, and I think it's worth a read just because, I don't know, I think there is something to the idea that we are constantly precognitively dreaming. That is just an element that is natural to the human condition. Some people are just better at it than others, which is where you get deja vu, because you're experiencing something you did already experience.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's interesting, and the book definitely pushed my brain to the limits at times. But I guess for me, it's just, it wasn't
memorable.
Yeah, it wasn't memorable.
Okay.
Like, there are parts of it, like, I see what you're saying, and I think that, like, I from what I remember, it was a good read, but ultimately it doesn't. Yeah, a lot of it just didn't stick with me.
Yeah.
I also was not overly compelled by the evidence that was laid down for me in it. Like, I'm still just very much in the camp of, no, I don't think dreams are inherently prophetic. I think that there are much more reasonable explanations for dreams, largely based in this is a chemical interaction that happens inside our brains while we are asleep, and it helps with shit like long-term memory formation and processing of difficult emotions we had during the day. And we have a lot of evidence that dreams are that dreams play a role in problem solving. That sometimes your dreams are attempting to solve issues that you weren't able to figure out during the day, likely just because humans get less good at thinking. Humans get worse at thinking abstractly and creatively when we're frustrated, and it's impossible to be frustrated while you're having a dream because you're fucking unconscious and tripping on DMT. And so...
Valid.
Yeah, and so while I've seen evidence of individual dreams and individual dreamers having prophetic tendencies, I'm not at all in the camp of dreams are inherently prophetic. It's just not something I can buy into at this point.
I think, like, on that topic, I do think that there's something spiritual about dreams. I think that there's an aspect of that there. I'm just not sure that Dreaming Ahead of Time is the book that, you know, I don't think it sells me on it in any way. And I think part of that is in the book, Gary Lockman repeated, from what I remember, talks about how unsure he is even throughout that.
Absolutely.
About it. So like, I like the fact that he's very open and honest about his own opinions about it all. But it doesn't necessarily push me or challenge me beyond what I already knew.
Yeah, and
in that sense.
And that's fair. Okay, so we can leave that one off. It's not like it's going to hurt Lockman. He's already on the list.
Yeah, exactly.
We will ruin him for our tens of listeners. Actually, there's several hundred of you now, which is very cool.
Unbelievable. Before we get into the next one, just a reminder, because we have had a lot of people join since the last reminder. If you are interested in any of our wonderful prizes that we have, we are doing a giveaway at the end of the stream, and we have an EMF reader. We have the books, 3 of the upcoming books that we'll get into more detail about later, and then also we have our
Nuremberg special.
Our Nuremberg special with Diary of a Drug Fiend by Aleister Crowley and a Aleister Crowley Thoth tarot deck.
I cannot stress enough how orange this EMF reader is. And it is the greatest aspect of it, is how very, very orange it is.
And if you are interested in any of these wonderful prizes, you can send us a message, drop your interest in the chat, and we will add your name to our Tupperware bowl.
Yep, right here.
It's a mixing bowl.
We only have one name in there right now, so...
it should be 2. I believe Justin also said that he...
Oh, I didn't see that. All right, well, we will have 2 names in there. So, if you want them to have more competition, throw your name up in chat. Let us know. You can also DM us on Twitter or any kind of way that you can get in touch with us.
Discord, Twitter, email, whatever. Just, before the end of the stream.
All right. So, moving forward. Next up, we have Queer Hauntings by Ken Summers.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I got to say no as well. It was interesting. There were some interesting stories, but it didn't really move the conversation forward.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. And if you want to read about some queer hauntings, highly recommend. But no, I agree.
The episode we did on that book is called Toddler Combat. It's a truly great title for a truly great episode.
I can't. What's funny is I've had people talk to me about the show, and that they'll like name an episode like that. They'll be like, "Oh, I was listening to Toddler Combat the other day," and I'm like, "I don't fucking know what episode that is, but that name is wonderful."
Yeah, you're sitting there like, "Is this a punk band
Yeah.
that you think would be relevant to our interests?"
I swear to God, like this show has done something in my brain because I look back on some of the episodes we've recorded, and I'm like, "Oh, I have no active memory of that."
Yeah.
I entered into a fugue state where I rambled about Bigfoot for 3 hours.
Yeah, no, there are times in which I'm pretty sure the episode, it was just a fever dream for me because I don't remember anything. And I'll have thoughts while I'm editing the episode. I'll have a direct thought, like, in response to, like, something that you said, and then I'll hear, like, 2 minutes later, me on the episode say that exact thing.
Kink shame the game, you are in the bowl.
Hugo, is you saying the Thoth deck, you expressing interest in the Thoth deck? Because it is a Thoth deck.
And remember,
it is an Aleister Crowley Thoth deck.
And remember, when we get to pulling these, it's going to the first name we pull gets their pick of the prizes. So Yeah, you want to be the first drawn.
Oh, Hugo wants in.
All right.
We all knew that you were going to want it. Tarot and all.
Okay, so moving forward. American Cosmic by D.W. Pasuka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd throw that in there. It was definitely memorable, and it was a way of looking at the UFO phenomenon I had never encountered or really even thought of before.
I just want to say to anybody who's listened to that episode, like, there's literally a third aspect to that book that I didn't cover in the summary. I spent most of the time in the summary focusing on the cross between religion and UFOs, because that was the part that originally interested me in the book. So when I wrote the summary, I didn't really talk about the technology aspect that she goes into in this, and it is a huge part.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about this book all the time. So, yes, I think that I think that should be a signpost.
All right. Well, then that's unanimous.
Whee!
Our next one was, honest to God, probably one of the hardest summaries I've ever written. DMT Entity Encounters. This book was a slog. It was not what I expected. It was very strange, very interesting at times. And I still don't know what to make of the whole phenomenon of DMT Entity Encounters. I mean, obviously, I'm saying I'm voicing this with the assumption that I would be able to do it safely and legally. I would love to try DMT sometime, because I would love to meet a machine elf. I got questions for them. But yeah, no, I thought this was interesting. It's a topic that I am interested in doing more research on. And I think if you're looking for a crash course on the topic, this is good. I just, because I don't feel like it gave me a firm enough grasp on the actual phenomenon of entity encounters to include it in the list.
It confused me more.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think that the book made me interested in the idea of DMT as a tool and all that. But I do not think that this book actually helped me so much as made me curious and confused, like any good pansexual.
Okay.
Yes.
So we can leave this one out. But that said, we will be reapproaching the topic of DMT entity encounters in the future, just because I think it's creepy and fascinating.
Big on with you, book.
All right. Book stack 2.
Yay!
Oh, God, the entire table shook when I did that.
Yeah, dude.
How many stacks are there?
3.
Oh.
But to be fair, the third stack is a lot fewer books. They're just long books.
Yeah.
They're big.
So next one. This House is Haunted by Guy L. Playfair. What the hell just fell out of this book?
My boy, Playfair.
Oh, this was my About the Author for Guy L. Playfair. And some of my notes on the back, and all I can see is this story is gross. I don't know what that was in reference to. It hates her.
Now, here's a ghost story book that I think might be one of the best examples of a ghost story book.
I love this book. I love This House is Haunted. I mean, I love Playfair, but I love this book.
No, I think this was the best ghost book we've done.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like, in terms of my enjoyment of the topic, the conversation we had, this is hands down my favorite one that we've done. And again, there's a reason Guy L. Playfair is kind of a legend in these circles.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I really enjoy throwing shade at the SPR, and this gave us an opportunity to do that.
And we did actually talk to somebody from the SPR, and that was interesting, and it was because of this book.
Yeah, and actually, that same guy helped me do some research for an upcoming book that we're doing. How
did I not know that?
Because I haven't told you about my insane psycho goose chase I've been on. I'll go into it later on when we're talking about the upcoming books.
Okay, I'm very curious.
I'm preemptively delighted.
I am entertaining everything at this point, including the authors and egregore. Like I cannot. We'll get into it, but I've been trying to find evidence that an author of a book that we were reading actually exists, and so far I have 0.
So what you're saying is we might have found another Hermes Trismegistus / Pythagoras at this point.
Yeah, that or he just made up a fake name.
Oh, yeah, wait, people do that.
Yeah, I know. Especially in this topic, because, They don't want it tied to their name.
I've been on the internet so long, I think at this point I have between 9 and 12 established aliases.
I know a couple of them.
Yes, you do, and you will reveal none of them.
Okay, so that one's on the list. Next up, Philip Carr-Gomes' The Druid Way. This is one of the few magic books we did.
Didn't even vote on the last book.
Yeah, but it was in.
Okay.
We know it was.
I didn't write it down. That's all I'm saying.
I read the room.
I was going to vote it in. You're right.
He's getting a little manic, so we're gonna have to be pulling the reins pretty hard.
That's a great plan. The guy that usually keeps us on track, we're going to have to keep him on track. This is great.
Yeah, I got to tell you guys, I am dangerously caffeinated right now.
I got a Red Bull.
And so, Philip Carr-Gomes, I got to give your book a 0 out of 10 in terms of staying upright. You're not good at it. I finally got it balanced. Let's just hope it stays.
Keep your hand away from it.
I'll start this one since it was my book, it was the book I chose. And as the resident druid, I don't think so, no. I like this book for what it was. I thought it was interesting. It was actually a surprisingly tough summary to write because it's essentially telling a very unique... I was trying to summarize somebody telling a very unique story. But I do not think... I don't know. I'm almost second-guessing myself. I'm on the fence. I think probably not because ultimately it didn't really... the book itself didn't push my understanding of druidry. It didn't push my understanding of the phenomenon. That being said, the conversation with Philip that we had and how he evolved from it since then, based on the conversation that we had, is really interesting to me and almost pushes it over the edge,
Yeah, I could see it. And actually, Speed of Human just noted that the Midnight Chat, in my opinion, that episode is not complete without the Midnight Chat.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It gives context to everything that was confusing us.
Absolutely. Yeah. It changed my outlook on the whole book just because of the conversation we had with him. And honestly, he's one of the guys that we've talked to that I've been very tempted to reach out to again just because. He's very knowledgeable. And again, he was the leader of the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids, which is who I study through forever. Since Nguyen wasn't the Archdruid anymore. So it's very, I'm biased. Well, admittedly.
I think Speed of Human has it, though. I think that the thing is that this is a very good specific case study about a specific time and place. It's not general enough to be able to really be applied to the wider conversation about the phenomenon.
That's a really good. Really good point.
You know what? I think of this book in a similar vein to Spiritual Alchemy.
Yeah,
because it's somebody's intensely personal spiritual experience. That's tough to take apart because not just because it's hard. There's usually a lot of very wild imagery and metaphor that's very specific to that person, but also because me personally, I struggle wanting to take apart someone else's dearly held religious experience.
That's fair.
I think it's rude.
Those valid points, I think you're right. Ultimately. That it was because of its, it was such a unique personal experience to Philip and his own evolution, but ultimately not broad enough to be a signpost. I agree. Good call, Speed of Human. Good call.
Okay. The next book. This was our first foray into conspiracy. Well, kinda. It's the first direct foray into conspiracy. The NASA Conspiracies by Nick Redfern.
No.
Here's the thing. A lot of the stuff in this book he was correct about.
Yeah.
That said, it could have been a bit more compelling. I don't know. I think the thing is, I think I enjoyed our conversation more than I enjoyed the book itself.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a good enough reason to bring it in.
Yeah, I got to agree. It's worth reading if you... if you want to look into kind of some of the legends surrounding NASA, but every one of the conspiracy theories that he addresses, in my opinion, is better addressed by other authors.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to move on from that one.
Why is it so hard for people to just accept that we went to the moon?
Because it's all the way up there.
D-
Man can't walk on cheese.
I mean, we can. We can walk on cheese.
Burn the heretic.
Please.
Abandoned by Larry Baxter.
Yeah, so next, the shortest book we covered this last year, Larry Baxter's Abandoned.
Yes, to be clear, Abandoned is the title and Larry Baxter is the author. I'm not saying that I was personally abandoned by Larry Beans Baxter at like a rest stop or a concert or something. I'm just saying the title of his book.
That left you on the shore at Port Chatham?
Don't bring up that horrible, horrible week.
Yeah, no, I again, this is one where I like this book. It didn't really contribute to my overall understanding of the Bigfoot phenomenon.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting little investigation, but I kind of got left feeling unresolved by it. I felt like there was no catharsis surrounding, which I guess that's true of real paranormal phenomenon often. Weird things happen, then they end, and you don't know what to make of it for the rest of your life. But that said, I don't think I could vote for this one. But that said, I did enjoy the book. If you're looking for a fun little Bigfoot book with some truly well-written Bigfoot fan fiction, I would go for it.
And I agree with you guys. I enjoyed the book quite a bit, but I don't think it's signposty.
Put it in the bag.
All right, to the bag.
Bye.
Our next one, another author that we've covered several times on our show, Jacques Vallée's Messengers of Deception. If you don't remember, this is the book of his where he's looking at the UFO phenomenon from the UFO cult angle.
It's the precursor, in a way, to American Cosmic. In my opinion, without Messengers of Deception, you don't get American Cosmic because of how big of an influence Jacques Vallée was on that book. And this book was directly cited multiple times by D.W. Pascula in American Cosmic as well.
Yeah.
But this book, where American Cosmic focused a lot more on, obviously, like I said earlier, it had the technology stuff, but her book focused more on the cross threads of religion in that. This book focused more on cults specifically, and still had a lot of technology because Jacques Vallée. I feel like we have to put it in because it's considered like one of the best books in this field for having that critical thinking in terms of the phenomenon as a whole.
Yeah, I agree, especially because unfortunately, and this is just something I've been seeing more and more of, this phenomenon didn't end. There are still people forming UFO cults and cults of personality, cults of belief, and
see it every day on Twitter.
And it is dangerous. Because it is getting tribal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that we need to stay conscious of, whether that is an intentional manipulation of Keel's ultra-terrestrials or just human nature. It's something you got to keep in your head because it's so easy to get suckered in.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to feel like you're part of the special in-group that's going to get these answers. And I hate to break your heart. You will not.
Yeah.
Chances are the true nature of the phenomenon will remain a mystery to us until we're dead, and maybe not even then.
And honestly, with how divided and almost I don't know, how almost insane UFO Twitter and Reddit have been getting recently, a book like this is just as, if not more important than when it was released 25, 30 years ago, whenever it was that he wrote this.
You're looking more like...
Because it was
50 years ago.
It was
1979.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, that's 54 years ago. I can do math.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 54 years ago. God, he's old.
He has been doing this for a while.
Yeah, I'm really upset that every time I see Jacques Vallée, I'm reminded of mortality because increasingly he looks like the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, I'm just really upset that we have not been able to find any way of contacting that man.
I got it. Listeners at home, you need to understand. This is 3 books by Jacques Vallée. Every single time, I put aside what felt like days of my life hunting for a way to contact him. And I have not succeeded once. I cannot find a single way of reaching him outside of maybe through other people, but we haven't really pursued that too much yet.
Yeah, it still stings thinking about Ralph Blumenthal when he goes, "Oh, did you guys talk to Jacques Vallée when we were when we were talking about Trinity?"
And we never will.
All right, so moving forward, the next book was one I covered, The Superhumanities by Jeffrey Kripal. I got a feeling I'm going to be an outlier on this again, because I feel like I probably enjoyed the book more than you guys did. That said, I did like it. I think that looking at the paranormal through the lens of the humanities is very novel. It's interesting. It addresses, I guess, the meaning behind the paranormal phenomenon rather than just the mechanics that a lot of people get hung up on. And I think that that is a very cool, very interesting, stimulating way of looking at it. I understand, though, that this particular book of his is not going to be everyone's cup of tea because it was written for a very specific audience.
So I was going to vote this in.
Ah!
Because after having sat with the book, it keeps coming back. We keep like the thoughts about or the way that he approached this in general keeps coming back to me. Like I keep thinking about it when we are reading other books, and that's usually a sign to me that it's one that's going to stick around for a while. And those are the books that I want to be signposts ultimately, even if I struggled with it, because I struggled with that book a lot. It was definitely not written for me. But I think if you're up for the challenge, that is definitely one that should be there, in my opinion.
Especially, like I said on the episode, if you have a background in the humanities, you're going to get a lot more out of this book.
I agree. I think it belongs as a signpost. My main piece of advice for reading it as a signpost is don't try to read it when you're in a violent depression like I was when I was trying to read it the first time, because when your brain is in a violent depression, every time you try to give it something difficult that is ultimately going to enrich it and make it better at being a brain, it goes, "No! Fuck you and the horse you rode in on!" And it makes the act of reading it feel like you're being stabbed in the frontal lobe. It's a good book. It wasn't its fault. I didn't have serotonin.
Okay, well, that surprises me. I was expecting no votes.
Well,
as in you guys would vote no, not that you would just abstain. That'd be weird. And now for our second shortest book we covered in the last year, Mac Toney's The Crypto-Terrestrials. I don't think I can... Can I get this one to stand up?
You cannot.
Ha! I proved you and God wrong.
What?
All right, so...
All right, Jay, go ahead. Defend it.
It's brilliant. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a contrarian. That's 40% of the reason I'm saying it. The other percent of the is I talked about this in the episode of the idea of if you're standing in a room full of 50 people, you're one of 50 people in the room, and the other 49 people are like, yes, 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 reality works in this specific way, and therefore we should proceed thusly. It's kind of your job, even if you agree with them, to kind of go like, okay, but let's pretend reality doesn't work that way, just in case maybe some of us are stupid. And let's just talk about what are the implications if we move forward under this assumption that we then later discover is false. I feel like this book serves a very important purpose. And again, I go into this a lot in the episode. It serves a purpose not necessarily in convincing you that the UFO phenomenon is caused by crypto-terrestrials. I think it's important in terms of going, you don't know what's causing the UFO phenomenon, and if you're acting like you do, and if you're acting like certain aspects of it are a given and therefore must inform all of the rest of your analysis of it, you're probably going about this the wrong way. Because, again, several times in the book, he kind of presented these arguments and then goes, "You're probably thinking that's stupid, right? Would you like to explain to me why it's stupid?" Without just saying, "but it's stupid," over and over again? You can't? Well, guess what, buddy? That makes it not stupid. Like,
honestly, Jay, I was gonna vote it in, and I think the reason I was gonna vote it in is because, in addition to everything you said, like you're saying, cryptoterrestrials is a viable theory given how much we don't know. And this is literally the only book we could find that even comes close to it. We even asked Exo Academia offline. We asked Darren, because he's very familiar with the theory, if there's any other books that cover this, and there isn't. Mac Tony's is the only one who ever really approached it, and I think that for that reason alone, it's worth an inclusion.
Yeah, and that was actually what you said, Nick, is exactly what I was going to say, and that's why I was also going to vote it in.
yay!
And I enjoyed the book. I thought that he approached this topic in a really healthy way, and then also brought enough points to it that it became a very viable theory, maybe not one that I personally believe in.
Yeah.
But it's enough that it makes the brain go, and ultimately, like you guys have said, and like we say all the time, we don't fucking know what's going on here.
Yeah.
So this is better than any other theory.
Yeah.
It's just as good as any other theory.
Yeah.
And for that reason alone, I think it's worthy of inclusion.
All right.
Yay! My boy.
And our last 5 books. Before we get into these, though, reminder, because we now have even more people on the stream that weren't here earlier. At the end of the stream, we're going to be doing a giveaway just like last year. We're going to be putting names in ye old Red Bull here. The first name we draw is going to be the person who gets to pick the first prize, and we'll go down the line from that. We have the Future Book Pack. This is 3 books we will be covering on upcoming episodes, and that's going to be very useful for the new format we're going to be discussing here in a moment.
Spoiler.
We have an EKG reader over there. Is that an EKG reader?
EMF
EMF.
reader.
EMF. What the hell is an EKG?
That's
It
for
measures brain waves.
Yeah.
It's-
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Admittedly, that'd be cooler, but we have an EMF reader
For ghosties.
Budgeting ghost hunters out there. And over there we have the Nuremberg Special, Crowley's Thoth deck, and a fancy copy of Diary of a Drug Fiend.
And more works by Aleister Crowley.
Yes.
So if you want to be in on that drawing, send us a private message. Say your name right now in chat. Say, hey, please put me in that bowl, and I will. I'll find a way to contact us before the end of the stream, because that's when we're going to be doing the drawing.
It will indeed be the last thing that we do-ish on the stream.
Have your dog bark a message to my dog. She'll definitely hear it, and she'll definitely cause problems about it.
Okay, moving forward.
Future book pack indeed.
Yep, it's going to be 3 books, which we're going to be covering.
And honestly, for all we know, this book might be a future book. Who knows? Who knows? I'm so fascinated by Aleister Crowley, it's probably unhealthy.
CJ, you're in the bowl.
John and CJ into the bowl.
Also, according to John, an EKG meter measure. Were you?
It measures radio?
Maybe he was.
I don't know. All right, anyway, moving forward. Our next book is another Lockman, Aleister Crowley, Magic, Rock and Roll, and the Wickedest Man in the World. Or sorry, Crowley, as apparently the proper way.
Crowley.
Yeah, I didn't know that till he was saying it in the interview, and I was like, oh, wow, I'm a dumbass. Okay, so what did we think
Of Lockman's book on Aleister Crowley?
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. Ultimately, I don't think that this book is one that pushes my understanding of the phenomenon as a whole.
No, it pushes my understanding of fetishized poop eating.
That being said, if you're interested in Thelema, but don't want to read the Book of the Law. Don't want to read any of the other works like that. What is it? The Book of Lies and all the other books that Aleister Crowley wrote.
Having a stroke over there?
Maybe. This is a really good look into his life. Like, it's a really good look into his life. It might be the best biography on Aleister Crowley out there.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
It's phenomenal. Like I said, and why I chose these things is like I've thought about Aleister Crowley way more than I should have, and I do not follow Thelema, and I have absolutely no interest in it. But I think Crowley is fascinating.
The thing that haunts me about Aleister Crowley is the same thing that haunts me about famous family annihilator John List, where it's like, if you just accepted the career change that the universe was offering you, you would have been so much happier. It's like, John List, stop trying to be an accountant. You were clearly meant to be a line cook. Aleister Crowley, stop trying to be a cult leader and a prophet. You were clearly just meant to climb mountains. Like, the motherfucker climbed so many mountains, and he climbed them so well, and then he'd get back down on the ground, and he's like, time to be terrible. It's like, go the fuck back in the mountains.
And for the record, John Zero, yes, we did know that, actually, and I believe we mentioned it when we were interviewing him, when we were talking to Lockman. That he was the bassist for Blondie.
Yeah. No, we talked about that in the About the Author, too.
Yeah.
He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And yes, I am greatly amused by Good Omen's use of the name Crowley for the demon.
Yeah.
It fits. So I like this book. I really enjoyed this book. It's one of the better biographies I've read. But for all the reasons that you implied there, I don't know if it could be a signpost because, well, fascinating, it didn't really push the conversation forward about the phenomenon.
As much as I really want to include this book, I don't. It's actually hurting me.
Yeah, no, I want to include it. I don't think we can.
I don't think we can.
That said, it's worth a read.
And here's and if anybody if you guys disagree with us, let us know.
Yes,
because,
please.
We'll take your opinions into account. This isn't just our signposts, ultimately.
Yeah.
These signposts are more for you guys than for us, quite honestly.
We've already read these books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
We've already wasted our time, so you don't have to.
Some of these books actively made me a worse person.
Yes, this is killing me. Some of these books, we're going to get to one of the books that killed me here in a moment. Next up, we have The Secret History of Vampires by Claude Lacouture.
Oh, yeah. This was your wife's recommendation.
Yeah, yes. Well, she wanted us to do a vampire book, and we did, and I don't regret doing it. I thought it was interesting. I don't think it's on the list. And I don't think it's on the list by the simple fact of when I was grabbing the books today to bring them here, I was looking at the list of books I need to grab, and I saw that one on there, and I went, oh, yeah, we read that. It had completely left my brain. Now, granted, it left my brain partially because of the bleach I had to drink after the next book we'll be talking about. But that said, I enjoyed it. It's interesting look at it's a very interesting dissection of vampire folklore. I don't think it's on the list.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree, too. I think our discussion was really interesting, particularly the discussion we had around the idea of vampire hunting frequently being done by societal outsiders and this consistent pattern in European culture of people who are treated with contempt are forced to do the necessary jobs that are vital to the culture's survival, at least in their mind. But when you're not actively performing that task, they go back to treating you like garbage too. And I think that was an excellent discussion, and it applies to other areas of the phenomenon in our research. But yeah, the overall book itself, I don't think is necessarily belongs in our signposts. Are you going to show them the boy?
You're going to bring in the fattest cat in North America?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, all the animals want into the studio today.
They like the studio. Every animal we have in this house has desperately tried to come into the studio many, many times.
Yes, there is Murphy, the fattest cat in North America.
Murphy the Hut. He's my son.
And
I love him.
I assure you, he has been on diets. It does nothing. That's just how he is.
He is enormous. If you don't believe me, trust me. He is, right now, he's probably about 29 pounds, give or take.
Yeah, he's gaining his weight back.
Yeah.
And nose tip to tail tip, he's about 18 inches is what we've estimated. He doesn't really like to hold still for precise measurements, but yeah, he's pretty freaking large. He's the largest cat I've ever met, quite frankly.
It never ends.
Go on, keep pulling. I am eternal.
We have to post some of those pictures of me where, like, I'm holding him because I'm exactly 5 feet even, so that's actually a pretty good size comparison.
Yeah, he is, in fact, a big boy.
All right. So that
was the Murphy break.
we were not including this book, I assume.
No.
Everyone on board with that?
Correct.
My personal apologies to Nick's wife.
Hey, it's fine, I think. She'll let me know when I get home. All right, next up we have Eric Dubé's Flatlantis.
No.
Distinctly not my boy.
Burn it. Burn it with fire, Nick.
Hold on. Because we talked about it so much, I have to show an example. Yeah. So, as you can see, much of the evidence that gets presented in this book is in the form of memes.
Anti-Semitic memes.
Printed in black and white, just dropped it. You can't really even see that on the camera, unfortunately, but
So
this is not the worst book we've read for the show. This is the worst book I've ever read.
Because
Period,
it's not
yeah.
a fucking book.
It is one deranged man's manifesto that he hands to you on the subway.
I tend to get heated sometimes, I would say. I hate that book.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate everything about it. I'm mad that book has lived in my brain for as long as it has.
God damn it.
Yep. Murphy's here.
Yep, I think that's a no
Yeah.
across
no.
the board.
I'm voting no on Flatlantis because I cannot, in good conscience, recommend anyone reading this book. Not just because it gives Eric Dubé money, and anyone who gives Eric Dubé money should be tried in The Hague for war crimes, including
We gave
us.
Eric Dubé money. We bought the book.
Including us. But not just because of that. It's because, again, this book will make you a worse person. Because it's not ultimately about the world is flat, man. It's ultimately about Eric Dubé hates Jewish people. That's what this book is actually about, is Eric Dubé hates Jewish people. Much like Murphy hates leaving me alone.
And CJ, to what you said here, you are not alone in I had multiple people tell me that was the funniest episode to date.
Yeah. Murphy is named after the law.
I mean that's probably a way better spot than where I named him after. He's actually named after Murphy McManus from the Boondock Saints movie, because I still enjoy the movie from time to time, but it used to be like a defining trait of my personality was how much I liked that movie.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, the second book we covered for our Summer of Secrets, Meet Me in Atlantis by Mark Adams.
So, that book was so good.
I enjoyed this book so much, and it has one of the best titles of any book we've read so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I even though, okay, so this is kind of where we get into that gray area. Even though it didn't push forward my understanding of phenomenon because it wasn't about the phenomenon, in a way it did, in the sense of we tend to look at paranormal phenomenon in a bubble. Without kind of, when really if it is a natural part of our world, it's as intimately tied in with history and folklore, mythology, and anthropology as anything else. I think this book was a reminder to me to kind of look at the myth, that's important, but look at the context around that myth. Look what built into that myth. And I think that is just a useful tool going forward looking at other texts.
So I'm glad that you said that, because I was going to fight for this one. And my reasoning is because of the other side of Plato that we get to see.
That's true too.
From this book. And Plato is such a big deal when it comes to so many things, so much of what we talk about, especially when we get into things like more in the philosophical, occulty side, because people reference Plato a lot. So and for that alone, seeing what ultimately is we don't know with Atlantis, but ultimately to me, what was probably one of the best metaphors ever given, because people still think it's real. Whether or not it is, we will likely never know. But the fact that it was put out into the universe, and maybe because of that, it is.
Yeah,
maybe it's not physically real, but maybe something, because of all of this energy that's being pushed into this thought of Atlantis, that something is forming because of it.
I mean, if you believe in egregores, that would be a natural thought. That'd be natural. That just happened.
Yeah. No. Exactly.
It's lodged there, right between Middle Earth and Midworld.
If you mean Meet Me in Atlantis and superhumanity is sticking together, that's a really interesting comparison. I like that.
Yeah, actually, looking at this through the lens of the superhumanities, I got to think on that some more. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think that I vote yes.
I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Yay!
I like when we're unanimous.
All right, second to last book. John Ronson's Them.
No.
This was another very difficult summary to write, mostly because I deeply do not enjoy a lot of the people this book is about, for obvious reasons.
Our dreams are actively rewriting human history. I really like
God,
that.
That'd be cool.
That's a really cool statement, and that's actually a lot to chew on in a little bit.
Because we'd never know.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Because if history changes, if it's retrocausal, we would have the memories as if it was always that way.
Okay, and here, tangent. Thinking about that in combination of Dean Radin's Real Magic.
Yeah.
We know, based on some of the evidence provided in that book, that the way that we interact with the world in general is in itself almost predictable, because our energies, you can see what was it? He saw the tweets, like the negative tweets starting to happen before an actual negative event happening. So that could also be interacted from our dreams. Maybe our dreams are also a factor in that, and it's all culminating into something that is, in this case, maybe Atlantis.
Maybe. That'd be
I
fascinating.
I like it.
Although, given some of my dreams, terrifying implications.
Yeah, remember the Ova bug?
There are so many dream worlds where I am actively being hunted by cars. Okay,
that makes sense.
Them by John Ronson. What do we think?
No.
Yeah, I can't say it advanced my understanding.
I think it just made me sad.
Yeah, it made me sad and upset.
And also, there's too much Alex Jones.
Yeah, he's kind of a central figure in the story. I will say this: it was an interesting view of what the mindset is like of extremist conspiracy thought. I think this taught me more in relation to how I live my life, not how I think about the phenomenon. In terms of how I interact with people who I know are part of these organizations, how they think. I think that was useful in the context of the show. Not terribly useful.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
And finally, our last book of the summer series, The Entity by Eric Frattini. This tome that we worked through.
Dear God.
This was such a long ride trying to get through this book.
I haven't read a book like that since high school.
The font is tiny. There's next to no margins. It's long. There are very few pictures. Which makes me sound like a toddler, but
there's actually an entire almost 100 pages of pictures in the middle.
I don't think it's 100, is it? But they're not numbered. That's not part of the page count.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like 20.
I grossly exaggerate sometimes. I don't pretend I don't.
You know, I enjoyed recording these episodes, like on all the conspiracy theories and everything. It was really, really interesting. Especially because you're thinking about it. We say in our intro, we talk about conspiracies. And this was really, we had done, one book, really, outside of thinking about UFOs and Bigfoot and all that is conspiracies, keeping that separate in its own little bubble. We hadn't really dived into the conspiracy side of these fringe topics that deep prior to this. And, yeah, I'm so glad that we divided this book up because...
It would have been a 3.5 hour episode.
Oh, easy. It would have been... we probably would have challenged the Satanic Panic episode in length easily.
And that one had 4 people instead of 3.
Yeah.
No, it was... Well, and here's the thing is, again, we mention this on the show all the time. Remember, that's going over what I'd say is about 30% of what's in the book.
Yeah, there's so much in there. I stopped before we got to World War II.
Yeah, and World War II is... the back half of this book is World War II and after.
Yeah.
Like, we could have done a 5-part series on this book easy.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of us wanted to do that.
I did not.
Okay. So I think that's a no all around.
It's an absolute no.
Yeah.
Zero stars.
Like, I don't know. I think it was a very interesting history book. It was worth reading if you want to know about the topic. I can't say it was a thrilling read.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It was dull as shit, but at the same time, very informative, very well researched, very dull.
It's a book that's great to read if you are a reporter and someday you know you're going to get to be in the room with a bunch of cardinals and maybe the Pope himself. And if you want to ask some specific pointed questions that are going to make the color drain out of those guys' face, great book to read for that.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, actually.
And that brings us to the end of talking about our past year.
Man, that is significantly less books getting added to the signpost than last year.
We've become more refined, a.k.a. snobby. Okay, so before we move into talking about the future of Noctivagant, one more quick plug, because, we're coming up on the end here. If you want your name in the drawing to win one of our 3 fabulous prizes, please let us know. Send a smoke signal, send a DM, put your name in the chat, and let us know. We have the 3 future books that we'll be covering on the show. We have the Nuremberg Special, Diary of a Drug Fiend, and Aleister Crowley's Thoth, and not an EKG.
EMF.
EMF. God, it's Carl Sagan all over again.
It's orange.
So please put your name in the chat if you want to be entered in the drawing to win one of those prizes. There's still room in the bowl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So moving into talking about our future, before we get into kind of the stuff that's further out, our immediate future, anyone who is in the Midwest area, and I think you're already in the bowl, Hugo.
They are.
Yeah, okay. Anyone who is going to be in the Midwest or, wants to do a spur-of-the-minute vacation and would like to hang out with us, we're going to be at MI Paracon this year. It is the largest paranormal convention in the country. It happens every year in Sault Ste. Marie, if you don't know where that is. It is way up north in Michigan, up in the Upper Peninsula.
It's in the lower portion of the Upper Peninsula, but yes, it is in the Upper Peninsula, and we will be there. And if you happen to be there and you see us, well, one, hang out with us, but also... we have stickers.
Yes, we have actual swag now. I mean, we have stickers and bookmarks, but you can have some if you find us.
Yeah.
We're going to be like hidden leprechauns giving out treasure.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably be handing out at least the bookmarks probably a lot because that's what we do every time. Because, why not? That's
also because we printed 1,500 of them, and they've infected every nook and cranny of our lives.
But now we have stickers. These are new.
Yeah.
Literally, I didn't see them before today.
Yeah.
Yes.
I ordered them in secret.
It's true.
Because Nick is very thoughtful and he likes to surprise us, and that's part of the reason why we love him so much.
So, if you're going to be at Paracon and you want to connect with us, we've been talking about a merch store. That might be coming down the line.
I actually created a Redbubble store for us to at least do temporary T-shirts or something, because we have you can see Nick's shirt. We have the PNG file. We're very capable of making at least with the logo, making a Noctivagant T-shirt or something like that. and we'll probably get there here, hopefully relatively soon. I just want to look into options because I'm not sure how I feel about like Redbubble and stores like that.
So, speaking of which, that's actually a pretty good segue into kind of the important news we need to discuss. So, last 2 years have been a wild ride for us. We did not expect this show to be liked as much as it is, for as many of you beautiful people to have latched on as you have, and we're so thankful for that. This has been a great experience. We've gotten to meet a lot of really interesting people, gotten to talk to some wildly intelligent people through Midnight Chats and through other channels, and I mean, it's been a fantastic ride. However, there is some issues that come around with the format of our show, which some of the things you guys have said to us. One of the complaints, well, not complaints, but feedback we often get, is that it's sometimes difficult to get through a 2.5 to 3 hour episode. And there's also the issue of things like the merch store or Patreon or the various things we'd love to do to kind of build on the Noctivagant platform. But quite frankly, we don't have time. We all work full-time jobs, and reading these books is time-consuming. It takes a lot of effort, and writing the summaries is very time-consuming. And those aren't excuses. That's just the cold reality of it. And especially because in the last 2 years, our lives have gotten fuller.
Yeah. Jay and I, we bought a house we're sitting in right now, and I like Nick said, we work full-time jobs. I'm gone from the house for 13 hours every single Monday through Thursday because I work 10-hour days, but my work is about an hour and 5 to hour and a half minute drive from our house to get there. And then I work in an office all day staring at a computer. So it's a lot. But yeah. That being said, the show itself is not going anywhere because we are. I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love talking about the shit. I love reading the books, and I love producing the show. If I could make this my full-time job, I would in a fucking second. Trust me.
Yeah. But until we get there, we have to face the reality that if we keep up at the pace we're going right now, the show's going to end because we're going to burn out.
Yeah. 2 years. When we originally launched the show, we had no intention of doing weekly content. That wasn't the goal. Mm-hmm. The Midnight Chats were going to be a nice surprise every now and again, but then we liked it.
We got the taste for talking to people.
Yeah, we enjoyed doing the interviews because they are a lot of fun. And then it became doing weekly content. We have missed 3, 4, if you count the summer series.
Which, God, we were this close to getting Bryan Adams.
Yeah.
We were a hair's breadth away, but he had to go.
Bryan Adams?
Mark Adams, not Bryan Adams.
It's not a Canadian...
Atlantis guy, not When a Man Loves a Woman guy.
Yeah.
We were this close to getting him, but he had to go off into the wild yonder for his next book, and so he said to touch base with him in autumn, so we may actually talk to him down the line.
I was going to say we might still just do that because that would be a lot of fun to talk to him.
But anyway, so the point being is that we're going to be moving towards a new format. Someone pointed out earlier they were really glad that we split up the entity, and that's great news for you because we're going to keep doing that.
Yep.
Going forward, we're going to be trying to do usually 2, maybe more episodes per book, broken up into smaller, more digestible sections. They're going to be released weekly, so it should still feel like you're getting Summer of Bryan Adams. Great.
Summer of 69 Bryan Adams.
So you're going...
Silence!
So you're still going to be getting plenty from us. You're still going to be hearing from us. And the Midnight Chats will be a little more sporadic because of that. Because, if we're going to be doing multi-parts on a book, we can't have multiple Midnight Chats if there's only one author.
Unless we do longer interviews, but that's probably not going to happen.
Because, important people got important things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, you're going to be looking forward, there's going to be a short hiatus between now and the start of what we're tentatively calling Noctivagant 2.0. So this is going to be, again, a season-based format. We're going to be doing 3 books in a row. Again, many of those will be multi-episode books. And then there'll be another break. And then we're going to do 3 books and then another break.
3 to 4, because every now and again we talked about it, throwing in a 4th book if there was like a special one. Kind of like how when we first launched, we did Trinity.
Yeah.
Every now and again there might be something like that.
Yeah. And again, we just feel like this is going to be more sustainable. And it's going to help us bring you more quality content and discussions, because we're going to have a chance to go out and do outside research beyond what we're reading for the book, which is going to allow us to kind of inform our discussions.
And then on top of that, like one of the biggest things, one of the other things that I had brought up is like because of how much work goes into reading the books and writing the summaries, and then, for me, producing the show, we just didn't have time or energy to do a lot of things outside of just producing the show. And that's not everything that we want to do. We want to actually talk to you guys. We want to actually, hang out in a way and actually have, let you guys engage with the show like a book club, right?
Which is actually where I get to, as I kept saying, the future books. The hope is that during these breaks, because we're going to announce at the end of each season what the books are for the next season. Yeah, each 3-book cycle.
Yeah, it's more like cycles, because it's not seasons in the sense of, like there'll be long, and then long break. It's going to be like short on, off, on, off.
Yeah. But it's going to give you guys the chance, if any of you want to pick up these books and read them. And you can then send us questions. You can let us know what you thought, because we want this to become a larger community. We wanted this to feel more like a book club. And there's only so many ideas that us 3 assholes can have. So we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you think, and we want to give you the chance to even suggest questions that we could then talk about on the show. So, with that in mind, this will give everyone a chance to read these books and get up to speed prior to the episode starting. Or if you're like many of our listeners and you just want us to ramble about these books so you don't have to read them, that's perfectly all right as well.
And thank you guys for, supporting this, because I'll tell you, it was not an easy decision for us to come to.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I fought it.
Yeah, Nick, I fought it for ever. Like,
I brought it up, 4 or 5 times before we got to the point where you guys were comfortable with it?
Yeah, over a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the spirit of full transparency, like, because I'm not shy about it. Like, I had a bit of an episode pre-editing and pre-trying to sit down to edit an episode, and I say a bit of an episode, I had a full-on breakdown, and that's when it was just like, okay, we have to do something because this can't happen again.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's entirely because we love the show, and we love you guys, and we want this to continue.
Exactly.
So we had to do what we could to get out of our own way. And unfortunately, that means I need to strangle the work ethic gremlin that lives inside my soul that demands I keep working no matter what.
And
that's not a work ethic. That's an addiction to productivity.
Yeah, and I was saying that Nick, you and I are actually really good examples of toxic productivity culture, because we've lived in it for so long that it's bled into our passions. The fact that we feel like we have to keep doing, this, like, I know consistent content is key to growth, but what to me is even more is not burning out and having not just consistent content, but good content.
Well, and also, and I truly mean this. There's 12 people right now in this live stream, which, compared to a lot of podcasts, that's not a lot, but that doesn't matter to me. The fact that you guys are here participating and talking to us, that's what matters. And I'd rather make our show curtail to you guys and to the audience we have than to some nebulous giant group that probably is full of assholes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I would much rather have like a tight-knit group of people who are they just want to read and talk about weird shit, because that's what I want to do. I want to read and talk about weird shit, because, like, prior to doing this show, like, I came into this show with, I'm sure you guys know, very little knowledge of all of this stuff other than passing interest and a little bit of practice in witchcraft. And into this, I feel like I've become, in 2 years, I feel like I've become almost I call myself a hobbyist occult researcher, and that's entirely because of this show. Like, and that has completely changed my life. Like, I have friends who I fought with about the occult, and now I'm on their side. It's hilarious.
Okay, so now that that conversation's out of the way, let's get into what's going to be happening during those breaks. Because during those time periods down, we're not going to be, sitting around. I mean, we're going to be doing that a little bit, to be completely frank. But
I like video games.
there's going to be some other stuff. This is going to free up some time for us to do some other things that we've wanted to do. Merch store, as was suggested earlier, is definitely something we're going to be looking at. But beyond that, many people have asked us when we're going to get a Patreon, and that's coming. That's coming relatively soon. So keep an eye out for any kind of announcements. It's going to be very simple. Right now we're thinking only one tier.
Yeah.
And it's entirely going to be, it's going to be pretty freeform. We're going to be doing occasional live stream chats where you're going to have a chance to hop on a Zoom call and chat with us.
It's honestly going to be a lot like this, but like Nick just said, it's going to be more personal in the sense it'll be like a Zoom chat and stuff like that. And then like the Patreon, honestly, like we're doing it because obviously we want to make money, do this for a living. But honestly, like if we ever just recouped what we put into the show on a monthly basis, good enough for me.
Absolutely.
Well, and also keep an eye out. We're also going to be doing occasional bonus content.
Yep.
We're still talking about what form that could take. Some of it might be more like roundtable discussions.
Yep.
We've also bandied around this idea called Solivagant, which is going to be solo episodes of one of us going on a deep, insane rant about at least one topic we really care about. And that might be the paranormal, or it might be not, because Jay already has several theories about TV shows that they want to yell at us about.
I want to do a Freudian analysis of the Glenn Howerton and Patton Oswalt show AP Bio.
Which, on its face, sounds insane, but I promise you, it's actually really interesting.
I mean, if we do end up going that direction, I have a rant about Moby Dick, like ready and locked in.
I love your rant about Moby Dick, and I think they would too.
It's all about penis. Beginning, middle, and end, it's about penis. It's in the name, Dick.
The way you describe it makes it sound like the gayest book.
It is the gayest book. It is the gayest, funniest book in all of the classics. It is objectively hilarious, and I didn't know that at first. But after reading it 4 times and having a mental breakdown, I figured it out.
I never even read Moby Dick, but I overheard someone in a public place once complaining about it, and I knew from the way you've talked about it that they were wrong, and I had to leave because I was going to say something.
Yeah, no, so that kind of stuff is going to happen, and we're going to be pretty, like I said, it's going to be pretty freeform. It's not going to be, there's going to be X bonus content per break, because we're going to produce stuff that we want to produce during that time that we think you guys are going to enjoy.
And, honestly, like, if we were just going to do, like, because we've talked about it before, like, doing Solivagant episodes on things that aren't necessarily about the phenomenon, but other things that we're passionate about, which means that I've had this idea brewing in my mind for years now, because if you don't know, one of my other passions in terms of things that I read about is pirates. I am a humongous fan of pirate history. I have books and books and books on pirates. And I have a bit of a tangent myself that I've gone on that is why Blackbeard isn't that great of a pirate and why I consider him the most overrated pirate in existence. And that will likely be a Solivagant episode, which, again, has nothing to do with the phenomenon, but it's something that I think you guys will find hilarious. So
it's one of the rants that made me fall in love with you.
And also, it's been requested, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's possible that those in our Patreon are going to get access to my notes for the episodes. And they're only going to get them if these two can pry them out of my cold, dead hands.
I hate to tell you this, man, but I have copies of all of them.
Shit!
People have been asking about your notes, dude. People ask about them.
Yeah, honest to God, I think that, because I imagine that a lot of the people that listen to our show, correct me if I'm wrong, people, but I imagine that a lot of them are, like us, very interested in these topics and like to keep notes and research and things like that. And so if somebody else can do it for them, that's going to be great, especially with how detailed they are.
I just got to go through them to make sure there's nothing like I have in there Rory's name, address, and a list of their fears. I need to just do some careful pruning just to make sure.
Yeah, no, of course. We'll go through it and make sure that you don't reveal any secrets.
I still laugh remembering that part in your Flatlantis notes where Eric Dubé said something that you knew was inaccurate, but you weren't quite sure how, and you just wrote, Jay, tear this bitch apart.
I was so angry. I was so done fact-checking that guy because every sentence I had to do it. And I just got so tired, guys.
I went and looked up articles on nuclear physics to be more accurate in my hatred of the man.
That's so funny.
Okay, so before we finish this ramble, by the way, I am seeing all the demands for my notes, so I suppose that is going to be one of the Patreon contents that you get access to.
Yeah, and
Yay!
if you guys aren't already, join our Discord, because there's a good chance that a lot of this stuff is going to get stored there, just because it's easy to have it all in one location. I'll also probably make like a drive or something, but I really, really want to utilize. First off, I'm terrible at managing a Discord, but I'm doing my best. But
I feel like that's the summary of our show.
Yeah.
We're terrible at a lot, but we're doing our best.
yeah, but I want to utilize that because I think it's a really good forum for these kind of things, because we can do not just like text discussion, but we can open up the audio to do audio discussions. We can do video streams all through there as well. Mind you, we'll do it in other methods, but there'll be times like when I'm playing video games, there'll be times where I might just hop into the Discord, and if anybody's around, we can hang out, just because why not?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lock down the Patreon lock down the Discord to Patreon only, but I will start once the Patreon goes live, I'll likely do channels that are Patreon only.
So Patreon only channels, and Hugo just asked a question. Yes, Solivagant is one of the first things that I brought up when we were first discussing Solivagant, which we've been discussing it for a very long time, actually. It was one of the first ideas we had for a Patreon, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah, we were thinking about doing it as fillers for when we didn't have midnight chats.
Oh, yeah. And one of the things that I immediately brought up was that being where my true crime obsession kind of got stored, because we've done a couple of those on the show, and the three of us very quickly figured out, it's like, this does not fit. This does not really belong in this format, and it's just kind of jarring and inconsistent with everything else, but I still want to do it, and there's just such a large overlap between the true crime community and the paranormal research community that it just felt like it would belong in something like Solivagant, not necessarily in regular episodes of the show. And also, I wanted an excuse to keep reading true crime books and spin my batshit red yarn on a corkboard theories about what was going on. And so, yes, when we move forward with Solivagant, you can expect more true crime books, or even if it's not specific books, my overview of certain cases.
I just had a thought, something that might be interesting, kind of stuff like that, to again go outside of this slightly, but also bring in like our own personal passions as well as relate it to these topics. I might do some music rants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know, I am a big music fan.
So it sounds like Solivagant is going to be the ranting hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So all that's coming. We're very excited. Please keep an eye out for announcements. We'll be blasting it over whatever socials we have access to. God, I hate Twitter. Or X. I'm hating
Keep calling it Twitter.
Twitter forever. Fuck X.
Don't fucking indulge Muskrat. It's Twitter. It will always be Twitter. He didn't even want to fucking go through with buying it because he's broke as shit.
Well, he's a billionaire, but it's fake, so...
Most billionaires are broke. If you go digging into it, they're billionaires, but only, like, pretend. But we all have to pretend that their money is still real, but they're broke. They're broke. They can't even eat at McDonald's.
Well, not broke. They're just not liquid.
I don't know how money works.
Okay.
That's what I get for working in the financial industry.
So, before we close out for the day, as we are running a little over when I planned...
we also had a weird freeze.
Yeah, we also had the weird freeze, and the demon loops took us, and it was a whole thing. So, if you want to be in the drawing, this is your last chance. I'm going to give you guys 1 or 2 minutes here before we do the drawing.
While we're waiting for anybody to do that,
please just send your name.
Yeah.
Orange.
And also, you can, if you have any questions for us, it can be related to a book. It can be related to nothing at all, something random. Drop those in the chat. We'll give it a couple of minutes for that, and then we'll go into the drawing. And then while that's happening, I had a thought about the signposts, actually.
Yeah.
So, recently, there's somebody who currently has 2 books on the signposts who I know at least me and we as a collective group have dubbed no longer good. And that being Whitley Strieber, because of some comments that he made on Twitter, very transphobic things that he said on Twitter. And so I want to propose to you guys, and this was not ahead of time, I thought about this during the stream, but I think we should pull those books from the signposts, and that's Communion and A New World.
I agree with you.
Here's the thing is, I think it's unfortunate because of how important communion is to the overall tapestry of the UFO topic.
Mm-hmm.
But given who we are as people and what we are as a show, I think that it is the only appropriate course of action.
Yeah, agreed. As a as a non-binary person and a trans person that I'm married to, it's hard to be okay with these things ever.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, again, much like Eric Dubé's anti-Semitism, where it has to change the way you look at everything they write about, and it just kind of... At the end of the day, the more we platform these people, the more power that they hold and the more traction their views gain. And we're living in a world right now where Ron DeSantis is trying to make it very easy for the state of Florida to put trans people to death, essentially for the crime of being trans. There are multiple states right now, and not just in the Bible Belt. Please undo that thinking in your head. Liberal states have a tendency to be just as transphobic as red states. They just go about it very differently. There are many states now where there are active court cases attempting to preserve the rights of parents to send their children to conversion therapy. And I feel like in the modern day, some of you have forgotten what conversion therapy is. It's not just a summer camp where they make you pray and tell you being gay is bad.
Torture.
They torture you with electrical shocks. They hook you up to IV bags where the medicine in it induces violent vertigo and nausea. They do those things while forcing children to watch pornography at these camps. It is very frequent for counselors to be allowed to sexually assault children under the guise of fixing their gender or sexual orientation. I'm sorry, a man who is being violently and vocally transphobic on Twitter cannot be in the signposts. Not now, not ever.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, obviously I agree. But real quick, there was a question that was put in the chat. Hugo asks will we ever do an episode on Rasputin? I don't know. Maybe. You got a book? You got a book recommendation?
Send us a book recommendation. We'll take a look at it. Yeah. Absolutely. Rasputin is a very interesting story.
Absolutely. And I love doing biographies. So as I'm sure we've figured out by now. But I would absolutely be down to do a book on Rasputin.
Okay, so moving into our last thing of the night, the giveaway.
Hold on. I was asked another question. What games am I playing right now? I got Baldur's Gate. So I've been playing Baldur's Gate. Prior to that, I was playing Far Cry 6 on the PS5. I've been playing Baldur's Gate on my computer. And then other than that, I play a shitload of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I'm right now. I mean, I know this is a question for Rory, but I'm going to answer it. I have been playing Fallout 4 for the first time, and I have yet to make much progress on the story. I guess that's not true. I am a decent ways along, but I should be much further given the hours I put into it, because I've decided to try to build every single settlement. And if you don't know what that means, that's good. If you do know what that means, you know why that's a sign of terminal insanity. So I've been spending hundreds of hours building houses, basically, and I'm just waiting for the Cyberpunk DLC to come.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Cyberpunk DLC as well, because I love that game. I have it on the PlayStation and the computer because I can't control myself, apparently.
Okay.
And I wanted to play it on a projector.
That's fair.
I'm playing Graveyard Keeper.
Yes, you are.
I'm playing so much Graveyard Keeper. I'm
All right.
not trying to get home or follow the main quest at all. I'm just growing pumpkins and then selling them.
If you don't know what Graveyard Keeper is, it's kind of like Harvest Moon, but goth.
I was going to say Stardew Valley, but that's like saying the same thing, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were asked if we have spoiled the books for the future yet. Well, we're going to do that right now as part of the giveaway. So the next 3 books we're going to be covering, and again, this is going to be in about 6 weeks. We'll be releasing the exact date sooner. The news about the Patreon will probably come first. The first one, I will be covering The Vertical Plane. If you don't know what this is, it's about the Dawdleston messages. A fascinating story about a guy in the very early days of computing who borrows an old IBM word processor from a school and begins receiving messages apparently from a man living in the Middle Ages. It's a story about communication through time, and the SPR gets involved, and there's communications with someone who claims to be from the future and someone who might be an angel or a god or whatever. It's wild.
Sounds wild.
And it's going to be a very fun read. I'm going to be covering this book. This is going to be my contribution to the cycle. And this is one of the books that you can win. The next book is Jay's contribution, Serpents of the Sky, Dragons of the Earth.
This is a book by F.W. Holiday, the same person who wrote the Goblin universe. And the basic gist of the book is, what if UFOs and dragons are the same thing?
Which just sounds completely insane to me, and I'm so excited.
You know what's funny? I just finished it. It's not, the way he goes about it, it doesn't come off as quite as insane as it sounds.
No, not at all. There in the first few chapters that I've gotten through so far, there is some silliness of like making very confident and bold statements with very little actual evidence to back them up. But that's fine, because that's pretty much every book we read.
Well, and also it is, I will say this, it is breaking ground. It is the first time we're going to be addressing the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, cool.
It's
Yes.
a big part of the book. So this is the only copy in the giveaway that is not a new edition, because this book is way out of print.
It's so
this is
old.
This is a used copy, but fear not, we also, all of us, only have used copies.
It's true.
It's delightful. I love it. I love it so much.
And the third book, this is going to be Rory's contribution, Northern Lights, High Strangeness in Sweden by Fred Anderson.
Yeah.
So this is an exploration of various paranormal occurrences that have happened in Swedish history. Give us a bit of international flair. Goes into some UFOs, some very bizarre cryptid stories, some hauntings.
And if you're a frequent flyer of I guess weirdo Twitter more than anything else, but if you're a frequent flyer of weirdo Twitter, you probably know who Fred is, and that's why I was so excited to put this book on the list, just because I saw he released it and I was like, yeah, absolutely, we're going to cover that.
And for the record, John, the argument is not that Nessie is a UFO. Nessie is a dragon, which represents elemental evil, as opposed to the discs, which represents divinity. And so Nessie is battling the UFOs for control of the world.
Yes.
That is a gross misinterpretation of Holiday's work, but I'm going to stand by it irrationally.
I like it. I agree. I think this is a really strong lineup of like a wide range of books that all sound really fun.
I was so desperate to get back to doing weird stuff after Conspiracy Land.
Yeah.
No, me too.
I was so desperate to get back to talking about kooky shit. I was so done with talking about terrorists and murders.
Now that I've caved and started doing UFO books, I want my brand to be, what if I brought forward the most annoying theory possible? It's the same reason I did the crypto-terrestrials, and now I want to do UFOs and dragons are intrinsically linked, because I just want to make certain members of the UFO community sigh heavily and rub their temples before going, okay, and launching into an explanation about why I'm an idiot.
Okay, so we're here. For those who have stuck it out for the entire time, now's the chance for you to win one of these lovely prizes. So, before we start drawing, one thing, if we announce your name, unfortunately, there's no way around it. You got to let us know where we can send it to. So, please, don't put it in chat, but send us a DM on Twitter. Send us an email, noctivagantpodcast@gmail.com. Or you could send it to us on a DM on Discord, however you want to. You got to send us your address and
Instagram,
yeah.
Tumblr, Reddit.
Yeah, I wouldn't send it through Reddit. I just don't trust the site at all. But
I mean, I don't trust Twitter.
Yeah, it's a fair point. But yeah, you're going to have to let us know where we can send it. That said, the first person who's going to get the first round pick between these three prizes is Speed of Human.
Hey!
Yay!
Speed of Human, which prize would you like? Now we just got to wait.
Yeah.
And hope they didn't go to the bathroom.
Now we play the waiting game.
Do.
I mean, I don't actually have the Jeopardy music on books, please.
Okay, Speed of Human is taking the books. Let me write that down.
Woo! Books!
So the remaining prizes are EMF Reader and the Nuremberg Special.
God, I love that name.
I wrote it down as a joke, and then I couldn't stop giggling, so it stayed. Okay, Jay, do you want to draw the next one?
Yes, I do.
Oh, man, what could it be?
Hugo!
Hugo! Well, we already know what Hugo wants.
Yep. Hugo wants the book and the deck.
I assume you want the Nuremberg Special. Hugo.
Buffy, if you don't stop trying to pull this tablecloth down, I swear to God.
Confirm for us, Hugo. Confirm.
Hugo!
Hugo, please.
In the meantime.
Bueller? Nah, you can draw for me.
All right.
It's too far for me to reach with my short little stubby arms.
Hugo may have been one of the people who had to drop.
I mean, they just said something, but it's also possible. But like I said, we know Hugo already said that they wanted the Crowley stuff.
Yeah, so that leaves the EKG meter.
EMF reader.
EMF reader.
EMF reader.
God. Yep, there it is. I'm that Crowley stuff. Not that Crowley. J.K. Crowley, please. Got it. Okay, you want Crowley.
Okay.
That tracks.
Okay, and then the last prize goes to Justin.
That's funny.
Justin, congratulations on winning a new EMF reader. We will get that over to you. But that, I believe, brings us to the end of the second annual Noctivagant live stream.
And you know what? Hopefully this time it won't be a year plus to the next stream. In fact, I'm sure it won't be because I know I had a lot of fun. And I hope everybody else did too. But is there anything else? Other than those of you that won prizes. Like Nick said, DM us somewhere. Speed of Human already messaged me on Discord, so perfect. Hugo and Justin, we will chat and figure out how we will exchange said things.
I don't know if I've mentioned this about the EMF reader, but it's orange.
And also, everyone who...
Speed of Human, that is exactly...
That's exactly what we're thinking.
That's exactly what we were thinking, was doing a hangout after each cycle, doing a stream and talking about the books or something like that. As we get closer to the launch and we kind of finalize everything for sure, we will obviously we'll let you guys know, so keep it posted for that. But I think that's it. Any final thoughts, anybody? No? Yes? No? Maybe so?
I saw an emoji.
Emojis are good. Well, in that case...
all of these prizes, by the way, I will be sending these with some bookmarks and stickers.
Yes.
So you'll get those too. That's even better.
And also, again, if you see us at Paracon, you'll also get bookmarks and stickers.
Yeah, because, I mean, Nick wants to hand out all these bookmarks so bad.
They've been in my trunk for 2 years. They have been... There's a box of bookmarks in my trunk, and I haven't seen the level inside that box drop. We've given away hundreds, and it still looks full.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's a curse. It's not a box of books. It's a curse.
We may have ordered too many bookmarks.
No such thing.
They just made them so cheap
Yeah.
to order in bulk.
You should honestly just charter like a little skywriting plane and just dump them out over like a festival.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, thank you guys so much for your support and for everything else. But you know what? Jay, lead us out of here.
Good night, ghosties. Good night, ghoulies. Good night, moth people. Stay safe out there on those midnight roads. Try your best not to get lost.
And follow the signposts.
Also, follow the flush pedestrian. He means you no harm.
What?
Flush pedestrian. Skinwalker.
Oh my God. All right.
Goodbye.
Good night.